and welcome to episode 4 of our Women in Business series. Today we're going to be sitting down with Sharon Alred, who is co-founder and director of Signature Recruitment. We're going to be hearing a little bit more about her career journey and her experiences as a woman in a senior leadership position. So Sharon, firstly, welcome. It's lovely to have you actually in the Proctor's HQ in Easton today. Thank you for coming in. To get started, can you tell us a little bit more about Signature Recruitment for those who are watching that may not know about the business and your involvement?
Yeah, sure. So I co-founded Signature Recruitment in 2010 with my now business partner, Evelyn Zolkner. We made a pinky promise at a bar that wasn't actually a bar after hours of conversing about what mattered to us and what we were looking for from the next stage of our careers. And then we both resigned from being employees and off we went.
Wow, that's amazing. And co-founding and directing a company, I feel like that's going to be something a lot of women watching this may be aspiring to. How did you know at the time that that was the right next step for you in your career?
Oh, good question. It did take me a long time to figure out what was right for me. I did a lot of self-reflecting and talking to friends and family about what they observed in my behaviours and what they thought I was good at to play to my strengths. And ultimately, for me, my decision came down to two factors. Firstly, I was no longer aligned with the company's values, so I wanted to set my own path. And secondly, I was really ready for a huge challenge and a massive steep learning curve, and my goodness, I got it.
Wow, I mean, it's such a brave thing to do, kind of paving your way into a new area, let alone founding your own business. For anyone watching that might be thinking of doing the same thing, do you have any advice for them?
I would advise them to have a minimum viable product in mind, so have a minimum concept that they expect to work, absolutely have a plan, do a SWOT analysis, and be prepared for all three to adjust on a very regular basis. I'd also advise people to take on board feedback as much as possible and then decide whether or not you actually want to implement any of that, because ultimately it's your decision, but take it on board and then decide what you do with it.
Okay, so on a personal note, whether that's to do with Signature or something previously, what would you say is your greatest professional accomplishment to date?
Oh gosh. On a professional level, I feel very proud that Eve and I have created a company that's helped over 10,000 people find work.
Wow.
I'm really proud of that. I'm also incredibly proud of the team and the staff that have worked for me over the years and being able to help and develop them, most of them women. And even those that don't work for us now have gone on to do bigger and better things as a result of their journey at Signature, which is great.
That's amazing. You should be really proud. That's an incredible achievement. So obviously the last year and a half has been more than difficult for a lot of businesses. Everyone's had to adapt their ways of working. How have you personally, or you as Signature, how have you guys adapted your ways of working over the last 18 months?
So we've used this as an opportunity to really reevaluate everything, every way of working that we have. Like a lot of business owners, it's been a great opportunity to be able to do that. So there's a few main things that we've reflected on and have made changes. Obviously, video calls. I think the whole world is now on Zoom, and inevitably will be here for the long term. There's so many advantages, but we also feel as a business that there are a lot of advantages of face-to-face meetings, the bond and the rapport and the relationships that can create. So when it's safe to do so, we will be meeting people face-to-face if that's their preference, as much as possible, because we see huge value in that relationship building piece. We've also embraced the working from home. Although I have to say, with the business that we're in and the types of staff that we have, they're extroverts. They're very people focused. So actually being in a community environment and around each other makes a huge difference to their well-being as well as their performance. So it's been a choice that we are in 4 days a week, and it's working really well for us. But having that 1 day a week at home is also great.
Yeah, I think that's really refreshing actually. I think a lot of people are naturally quite cautious to be going back to the office, but yeah, I would agree there's nothing like that face-to-face communication, whether that be with clients or with your team members. You know, on the days that we are in here, the office here at Proctor's, you can't replicate how nice it is to be around everyone again, and it's good for team building. And yeah, I would agree with what you've said there.
Yeah, very much so. I think it helps with the spontaneity of creativity and incidental learning, which is completely lost in a call. And as you said, that relationship building piece, often when you're on a Zoom call, I don't know about your calendar, but mine is certainly back to back, you don't necessarily create that space to actually check in with people. How are you really? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're making a coffee or you're waiting outside a door, then you will make that time. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk a little bit about your experience as a woman in a senior leadership position. Looking back over your career, do you think there's ever been a time where you've faced prejudices because you're a woman, or maybe resistance from other team members?
I mean, gosh, absolutely. I've got dozens of examples. In the earlier stages of my career, I struggled to meet a director who wasn't white, male and over 50 and dressed in a suit and tie, which I didn't find particularly intimidating, but I did find their response to me sometimes quite challenging to navigate. They wouldn't always take me seriously. So as a result, I matched their dress code. So I would always wear a trouser suit and a shirt to try to install that confidence in them. And it did work to a point. It certainly got me in the door. Fortunately, those days are long behind us. I'm delighted to say. It's variable across different sectors, certainly, but it's not like that anymore, which is a relief. The guys that I'm bringing through now and that are training and learning, those are just my old war stories. That's nothing they're having to experience themselves, which is really good.
Yeah, really positive. I think there is definitely a shift sort of in the workplace culture where, it is slowly becoming more accepting, and we're sat here talking, and the camera won't be able to see, but we're sat here talking in 2 skirts, which is lovely that we both haven't had to dress up in full suit on a hot day like this.
Quite.
In your opinion, do you feel like in the workplace, men and women maybe react differently to certain situations that you've seen?
Yeah, very much so. I'm stereotyping hugely, but I can speak from experience on numerous occasions. In the recruitment sector, we see men applying for jobs when they feel they're a 70% match. And that could be a vacancy with us as an agency, or it could be an internal promotion. Whereas women will only apply if they feel they're a 95% match.
Okay.
That gap is huge, and the ramifications of it are massive for succession planning, for women progressing through in their careers into leadership positions. Lack of confidence, they feel that they don't deserve it. They have commitments outside of work that they feel will be challenged too heavily to be able to go for that promotion, etc. There's multiple other reasons. So we do a lot of work with women to coach them through considering applying for jobs that they might feel are slightly out of their comfort zone.
That's
Whereas
great.
actually we know they're not. We know that they have the skills and capabilities, and we really want to get them in front of the right people, which is our job.
Yeah, that's wonderful work that you're doing, and so interesting. I haven't heard that statistic before, but so you're kind of saying that in your experience, men have that more instilled ambition and confidence compared to women when it comes to applying to new jobs.
I question if it's ambition. I think it's confidence.
Sure.
From my experience and speaking to people that are happy to be put forward to certain jobs or go for interviews, looking at the match of the criteria versus their experience and qualifications. It's not always the case. We have some men, of course, that we need to work on their confidence too, but we really want to make sure that we put the right people in front of the right organisations for them to be able to progress their careers for the right reasons.
Okay, so as a co-founder and director, you obviously manage a team. So let's talk a little bit about the leadership side of things. In your opinion, what traits do you think a great leader possesses?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think if I had to narrow it down to the top 3 important traits, I'd say clear communication is absolutely number 1. I think if you're unable to clearly communicate your vision or your strategy well enough for people to want to come with you, then actually you don't have an organisation. I also think that the ability to share the vision and bring people with you is as important, which is slightly different to communicating in the first place. And I also think at the moment, especially in the age of working from home and relying on video so much more, actually being present and available to your staff and not hiding in your office is also a very important factor. You know, you really do need to walk the walk, be available to people, have conversations at all levels.
Yeah, I think that's very true, and lead by example as well. Make sure you're on the ground and kind of getting stuck in with them.
Absolutely, you set the culture.
Yeah. So on a personal note, whether this is at Signature or in general when you approach business, what or who motivates you?
Oh wow. What motivates me is celebrating success. When we first founded Signature 11 years ago, they were my goals and they were Evelyn's goals. So we would always make sure that we had a deadline for those and we would take the time to celebrate them. Now they're the team's goals. So I have to say I get more pleasure from celebrating their achievements now than I do mine. The second thing that motivates me is being in such a fortunate position to be able to enable others to fulfill their potential. And now it's not me helping our candidates and clients so much, it's me making sure that my team are able to do that, which is just great.
So last question, if you could give advice to the next generation of female leaders that might be watching this, what would you say?
Oh my gosh, I would say get in the room and back yourself for sure. What I mean by that is invite yourself to meetings that you think might develop your career. Put yourself in front of people in more senior roles if you think it's going to give you the exposure that you want to get to the next step. Ask tons of questions. If you can, either within your organisation or within your sector, find a way to get a mentor or a sponsor. Now, they are slightly different things. So a sponsor would be somebody who knows your skills and ability and work attitude and will often speak well of you or put you forward for things when you're not in the room. So project work, for example, or comments, or suggest that if a new role was going to be created that you might be somebody worth considering for that. A mentor is somebody that will have an informal relationship with you, either across your business or outside of your business, and somebody that you could refer to, almost like a big brother relationship, as a sounding board for ideas and different ways of approaching situations. I think both are of huge value to people in earlier stages of their career looking for that extra bit of advice.
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today, Sharon. If anyone watching would like to contact you, how could they do so?
Sure. So I'm available on LinkedIn. So if you just search for Sharon Alred, there's not many Alreds out there, so you'll find me and probably my father. Or of course via our website, so signaturerecruitment.co.uk.
Perfect. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you want to find out more about Proctor and Stevenson and our services, you can either head to our website or email us at marketing@proctors.co.uk, or you can keep up to date with our content on our social channels, which you'll see on the next frame.